Hi, I'm Elaine. I play and teach the ukulele. In this video, I'll teach you the basics of fingerpicking. I'll start by going over what is fingerpicking and why learn it. Then I'll go over how to fingerpick. There are three pieces of this. 1. Mechanics. What exactly are your paws doing when you fingerpick? 2. Patterns. What are different fingerpicking patterns you can use? How do you know what fingerpicking pattern to use for a song? And 3. Notation. How do you read different fingerpicking patterns? How do you write them down? The scope of this video is primarily on rhythmic fingerpicking, that is, using fingerpicking instead of strumming chords. I'll go over more complicated fingerpicking techniques, playing melody lines, playing fingerpicking tabs in a separate video. What is fingerpicking? Fingerpicking is when you use your fingers to play individual strings or sets of strings instead of strumming all of the strings. For instance, suppose you have an A minor 7 chord, that's all open strings, you don't need to do anything with your left hand. With strumming, the A minor 7 chord sounds like this. However, you can use fingerpicking to play individual strings like this. Or you can play some set of strings like this. Notice how the two fingerpicking patterns sounded different from just strumming the chord. That's one of the top reasons to learn fingerpicking. You can use it to produce new sounds on the ukulele. This helps you learn new songs or play songs in a different style. The other reason to learn fingerpicking is that it's fun. You get to increase your overall ukulele dexterity and your musical knowledge. Now I'll go over how to fingerpick, and I'll start with the mechanics. For this example, I will play on all open strings so my left hand won't do anything, and I'll hold the ukulele up so you can see what's going on. Now to start, you want to assign the fingers on your right hand to strings of the ukulele. There are a few ways to do this. The two most common ways I see are you can assign your thumb to the G and C strings, your index finger to the E string, and then your middle finger to the A string. This is usually what I prefer, and then the other way of doing it is you can have the 4 fingers on your right hand each assigned to the string. So your thumb will take the G string, index finger C, middle finger E, ring finger A, and this is useful if you need to pluck all 4 strings of the ukulele at the same time like this, and you would do so with a sort of a grabbing motion. And you can't really do that if your thumb is on both the G and C strings because you don't have enough fingers to grab all the strings. Now I'll go over fingerpicking patterns. What sort of fingerpicking patterns are there, and how do you know what fingerpicking pattern to use for a song? To start, learn the mechanics of fingerpicking. Assign the fingers of your right hand to strings of the ukulele. I'll assign my thumb to G and C, index finger to E, and middle finger to A. Then you can try playing around with different patterns to see what things sound like and get familiar with the mechanics of fingerpicking. For instance, one easy pattern you can do to start is you can just pluck all the strings of the ukulele starting at G and going down to A. And so that would sound and look something like this. You could also do the same thing in reverse. The goal is to get familiar with fingerpicking and the mechanics of it. You can also try playing different sets of strings and seeing how things sound. The point is that there are really no wrong answers here. Just try different things out and get familiar with the mechanics. Once you know the basic mechanics of fingerpicking, how do you figure out what fingerpicking pattern to use for a song? To start, take inspiration from other ukulele players. You can follow along to other people's play-alongs or tutorial videos. This will help you get a sense of what different fingerpicking patterns sound like and what they sound like in the context of particular songs. Then you can learn how to come up with picking patterns by ear. For instance, if in a song you hear a bass note followed by a bunch of high notes, you can mimic that through a picking pattern by plucking the lowest note followed by all of the other notes. And if you repeat that a few times, you have a picking pattern. The thing to keep in mind here is that it'll require some trial and error, and there are really no wrong answers. You can play a song with pretty much any picking pattern, and it'll probably sound fine, but it might be in a different style from the original. Now I'll go over fingerpicking notation. This is useful to communicate about fingerpicking patterns. To start, I'll go over string numbering. I number the strings of the ukulele from top to bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. So G is 1, C is 2, E is 3, and A is 4. One thing to note here is that the convention is actually backwards, so most of the time you'll see the strings numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 from bottom to top. I think this is super confusing, so I'll number the strings 1, 2, 3, 4 from top to bottom. G is 1, C is 2, E is 3, A is 4. There are two ways to write down a fingerpicking pattern. One, I could write down which strings to pluck by the string numbers, or two, I could write out the tab. For instance, let's look at the song Hey There Delilah. To play this song, you'll need 2 chords, an F, and an A minor. The fingerpicking pattern for Hey There Delilah is that you'll pluck the lowest note, and then you'll pluck all of the other notes, and you'll repeat that 4 times per chord. So all in all, it sounds something like this. Hey there Delilah, what's it like in New York City? 1,000 miles away, but girl, tonight you look so pretty. And then there's some other chords, but that's the basic gist of it. Now, you can write down this fingerpicking pattern in 2 ways. One is I can tell you to pluck string 1 and then strings 2, 3, 4 at the same time, and then do that 4 times per chord. Two, I could write the same fingerpicking pattern down using tab. Here's how to read tab. Each horizontal line represents a string of the ukulele. Each number represents what fret you play. For instance, a 2 on the G string means you'll press on the 2nd fret of the G string and you'll play that note. If this is 0, that means you play an open string. For instance, 0 on the C string means you'll just play an open C. So just as before, you'll start by holding the F major chord shape. However, the way it's notated means that you'll start by playing the 2nd fret of the G string, and then you'll play the C, E, and A strings. And you'll repeat that 4 times. Similarly, for the A minor chord, you'd start by holding the A minor chord shape, and then you'll start by playing the 2nd fret of the G string, and then you'll play the C, E, and A strings, all open strings, and you repeat that 4 times. If you have a regular rhythmic picking pattern, then notation 1, just telling you what string numbers you need to pick, is usually easier to use. This is because you can practice just the right-handed motions. For instance, you can practice plucking string 1 and then strings 2, 3, and 4 at the same time on open strings, so your left hand doesn't have to do anything. You can practice that motion a few times until it's familiar, and then you can work on adding in the chords. Notation 2, tab, tells you exactly the same information. However, you have to look at it more closely to break down what the left and right hands are doing. For instance, if you just look at the tab in isolation, you'll start by playing the 2nd fret of the G string with your left hand, and then it jumps to the 1st fret of the E string. So if you just did that with your index finger, it would look and sound something like this. That's hard to play and sounds kind of choppy. However, if you look at the left-handed bit more closely, you'll see that 2010 is an F major chord shape. That means that you can just hold the F major chord shape with your left hand and then play the picking pattern with your right hand. Similarly, if you look at the timing of the notes that you play with the right hand, you'll see that you start by plucking the G string, and then you'll pluck the C, E, and A strings. This will allow you to separate the left-handed and right-handed bits of a tab and practice them in isolation, so that way you can put them together later. I hope that this video helped explain the basics of fingerpicking. I have 3 main practice tips. 1. Learn the mechanics of fingerpicking. Make sure you know what fingers on your right hand are assigned to which strings of the ukulele. 2. Practice your left hand and your right hand separately. That way you can master each component before putting them together. And 3. Practice to existing tutorials and play-alongs. Learning from other ukulele players will help you learn more fingerpicking patterns and learn what they sound like in the context of particular songs. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. You can hit the little bell icon and then you get notified when I make a new video. I put out a new video every Sunday. Thank you for watching.